Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a spiritual text with a pretty radical idea. What if your bank account has less to do with how hard you work and more to do with something called a karmic account?
Let's just kick things off with a question that really challenges our basic assumptions. We're all taught that hard work equals wealth. It's simple, right? But if we're being honest with ourselves, that equation, it doesn't always add up, does it? So what's the missing piece of the puzzle here?
Well, according to the spiritual master Dadashri, our entire framework is just flawed. He argues that it's not about pure physical effort, and it's not even about being a genius. Neither of those things is the direct cause of wealth. This quote is a real wake-up call, asking us to look beyond the obvious to find the true source of our financial reality.
Okay, so if it's not our hard work today or how smart we are, what could it possibly be? This is where the text introduces a completely different system, one it calls our karmic account.
So the central concept here is merit karma. Honestly, the easiest way to think about it is like a spiritual bank account. But it's funded by your actions in a past life. Things like helping others without expecting anything back. This means your financial situation today isn't really a direct result of your current job, but more like a withdrawal from that pre-existing account.
And this is where the two worldviews just completely collide. Our whole society celebrates hustle, effort, and intellect. But this spiritual science says, nope, that's all secondary. The real driver is the balance of your merit karmas. It's suggesting that wealth isn't earned in the present, it's received as a result of the past. That is a huge shift in thinking.
So if our wealth is kind of predetermined by this karmic account, how in the world does that change our approach to all the daily stress of business, worrying about profit and loss? Let's explore right.
To make this concept really clear, Dadashri uses this simple and honestly unforgettable analogy. He asks us to just imagine our business as a family.
And this family has two sons. Now, naturally, we all love the son named Profit, but Dadashri's point is that loss is also a totally legitimate child of the business. Both of them are natural outcomes, and we cause ourselves so much suffering by favoring one and despising the other.
And he shares this really personal story about how he applied this idea in his own life. Before this big realization, he was just completely consumed by anxiety over a business loss. But then he kind of stepped back and saw that the worry, it was his and his alone. The business itself, his family, everyone was just continuing on. The loss belonged to the business, not to him personally.
And it all comes down to this one key practice: detachment. When you create that mental separation between who you are and the financial results of your business, you can finally get off that emotional roller coaster of gains and losses. And that's where you find a genuine state of peace.
And following that logic, the teachings suggest that not all money carries the same energy. Its quality, its very nature, is determined by how you get it. I mean, the imagery used here for unethically earned money is incredibly powerful. It's described as a flood. Yeah, it might rush in and feel like a huge windfall, but it ultimately brings filth and destruction, and it leaves a stinging mess long after it's gone.
So this really lays out the two paths. On one side, you have pure money earned ethically, which is said to create peace. But on the other, you have impure money from deceitful means, which doesn't just create conflict in this life, it also binds you to negative consequences in the future by messing with that karmic account.
So, if the endless chase for more money isn't the point and can even be a source of suffering, then what are we supposed to be aiming for?
The text gives us a clear three-step framework. It starts with unwavering ethics. That's the foundation. Then it adds an obliging nature, which is really just a genuine desire to help others. And finally, that principle of detachment ties it all together, reinforcing the idea that the results are governed by karma, not by our own anxiety.
Now this might be the most profound shift in perspective of all. The text suggests we have it completely backwards. Our life's work, our main production, isn't our career or our bank account. It's the journey of self-realization. Everything else, the money, the success, the stuff, is just a byproduct of that primary spiritual work.
So, let's bring this all together. What this perspective is really suggesting is that since our wealth is linked to past karma, worrying about it is futile. It just makes us suffer. Instead, our focus should be on ethical conduct right now, because that's the path to peace. And this all leads to the ultimate conclusion. The real goal isn't accumulating wealth, it's achieving spiritual growth. And so, we'll leave you with a question at the very core of this teaching. It asks us to look at our daily actions, our worries, and our goals, and to honestly ask ourselves, what are we truly producing with this one precious life?
Like and subscribe to keep up with our weekly lessons and deep dives.